If you hit 40 with nothing invested, the math changes. You look at compound interest calculators designed for 20-year-olds, realize you've missed 2 decades of growth, and the panic sets in. That panic usually leads to one of two outcomes: giving up entirely or taking massive, reckless risks to catch up fast. Both end badly. But there is a middle ground. In this video, I'll show you exactly what to do when you're starting from zero today. How to free up more money to invest with minimal lifestyle change, so you can close the gap without taking big risks to get there. But first, let's face the reality. If you are 40 and haven't started investing, the most common response is avoidance. You know you're behind, so looking at the numbers feels like stepping on a scale after the holidays. You don't want to see the damage. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later when you make more money or when life calms down. But kicking the can down the road is the worst financial decision you can make. While you wait for the perfect time, you are getting older anyway, and inflation is silently eating whatever cash you do have. So here is what you do. You start by listing out everything you own: the cash in your bank, your car, maybe a house. Then you list out everything you owe: your credit cards, student loans, or your mortgage. You subtract what you owe from what you own, and that gives you your net worth. That number is your snapshot. It tells you exactly where you are today. Even if the number is negative, you finally have a concrete starting point. Next, you need total clarity on your spending habits. You probably have a rough guess of what you spend every month, but guessing leaves room for hidden leaks. You need to pull up your bank statements from the last 6 months and review your actual transactions. You are going to organize that spending into 3 categories. First, the essentials. This covers your rent, mortgage, your groceries, and the bills that keep the lights on. Second, the discretionary spending. This is the eating out, the shopping, and the things you buy because you want them. Third, the forgotten spending. These are the subscriptions you signed up for a year ago, and the random charges you don't even notice anymore. When you subtract your total spending from your income, you find your cash flow. Your net worth shows you exactly where you stand, and your cash flow shows you which direction you are moving. Together, they are your financial reality. Once you look at this reality, a strange thing happens. The anxiety actually drops, because now you aren't fighting a vague, terrifying monster in the dark. You are just looking at a math problem. A math problem is something you can actually solve. And here are the 5 steps to solve this problem. Step 1. Fix the leaks. This is for the things you are paying for but didn't use or didn't notice. For example, say you've got a $19 streaming service you haven't used in months, a $35 gym membership you thought you would go twice a week but never did, a $15 monthly maintenance fee on your checking account, and a $30 late fee because one bill slipped past you. That's around $100 a month. Over a year, that's roughly $1,200 gone, and you got nothing for it. So cancel these subscriptions and call your bank asking for a courtesy reversal on those late fees. They'll often say yes if you ask politely. If your account charges a monthly fee no matter what, move to a free checking account. And set every credit card bill to pay at least its minimum automatically, so late fees simply stop happening. This is something you can do fairly quickly. It saves you a few hundred to a few $1,000s a year with basically no lifestyle changes. You're only cutting things you weren't using anyway. A quick win, and it starts working right away. Step 2. Switch vendors. Have you ever seen your own internet company advertising a price that's lower than what they charge you? That cheaper deal was for new customers only, and it points at a sneaky little secret many companies don't want you to know. Loyalty costs you money. These companies fight hard to win new customers, then raise prices a few dollars a year once you stop paying attention. Stay 5 or 10 years, and you can end up paying a lot more than the person who signed up yesterday for the exact same service. And at 40, every one of those dollars matters. So call your current service provider. Tell them what the competitor charges and ask them to match it. Retention departments often say yes to a customer who's ready to walk. If they won't, then you switch. This works for your phone, internet, security alarm, or even insurance companies. It also has minimal impact on your lifestyle. Just make sure your service or coverage stays the same. Step 3. Set up your budget. This one decides where every paycheck goes before you spend a cent of it. And the easiest way to show you is with an example. Meet Marcus. He's 40, takes home $7,000 a month, and every month he plans to invest whatever's left over. Somehow, nothing ever is. The money disappears in small ways. A dinner out here, a random purchase there, until the plan becomes, I'll invest next month. And every month that loop repeats is another month his portfolio stays at zero. So Marcus flips the order. The moment his paycheck lands, he splits it. 50% to fixed costs, 10% to investing, 10% to emergency savings, and 30% to guilt-free spending. On his $7,000, that's $3,500 for the bills, $700 invested, $700 saved, and $2,100 to enjoy. And since he's paid every 2 weeks, each $3,500 paycheck moves $350 to investing and $350 to savings on payday. Whatever happens with the rest of it, the investing is already done. Your percentages don't have to match his. Your mortgage and bills might cost more than half, or you might already have an emergency fund so you can free up that 10% for investing as well. The rule worth copying is Marcus's new order. Investing gets paid before the fund does. On the lifestyle scale, this one sits just above the first 2 steps, because you're now setting aside a slice of your spending money before you've had the chance to spend it. Step 4. Max out your retirement accounts. Now, this step is about squeezing everything you can out of retirement accounts, because our tax system gives them advantages most people never fully claim. Start with your employer's 401k match. Put in at least enough to collect every dollar of it, because that match is money you've already earned. If you don't claim it, you're handing part of your paycheck back. Then use the tax breaks. In a regular brokerage account, you pay taxes on your gains along the way. In a 401k or a traditional IRA, you skip that. Taxes wait until you take the money out in retirement. A Roth flips the order. You pay tax now, and withdrawals later are tax-free. Same investments either way. You just keep more of the returns. And if your health plan qualifies, an HSA gets you the same kind of break. Now, this isn't a video comparing the different account types. We'll have a separate video on that. For now, just remember the rules in retirement accounts actually favor late starters. Once you turn 50, the IRS lets you put in more. The system is built expecting some people to catch up in their 50s. How much lifestyle change? If you're already investing your 10%, basically none. You're just moving that money into accounts that tax you less. And if you haven't started yet, it's the same small change as before, because that 10% needs to be invested either way. Step 5. Grow your income. What if you've done all 4 steps and the budget still feels tight? For a late starter, that's very common. There's only so much you can trim before it starts cutting into your actual life. And once you've reached that limit and it's still not enough, the only place left to look is the income coming in. Now, out of the 5 steps, this one asks for the biggest lifestyle change. Building extra income takes real time and real energy, usually out of your evenings and weekends, and that's why it's optional. But if you're starting at 40 and you want a comfortable future, I'd highly recommend you figure out a way to make it work. Income is the only number in this plan without a ceiling, and a second income stream doubles as a backup plan. If anything ever happens to your main job, you won't be starting from nothing. The easiest way in is to pick something you already love doing. When the work itself is fun, the extra hours don't feel like a second job, and you'll stick with it long enough to get good at it. Now, the most important tip I can give you here is a mindset shift. Don't think of it as an extra job. Think of it as a business. Whatever you choose for side income, treat it as a business you're building, because a job doesn't compound over time. A business does. Picking up an extra shift 2 nights a week is fine, but it stops the moment you stop working, and next year it pays about the same. A business has no income ceiling. It can keep growing, and it doesn't just add to your monthly cash flow. The business itself becomes something you own, often worth several times what it earns in a year. So let's put the whole system together. You face reality first. Your net worth tells you where you stand, and your cash flow tells you which direction you're moving. Then you work the 5 steps. Fix the leaks, switch vendors, set up your budget, max out your retirement accounts, and if you can, grow your income. The first 4 organize the money you already make. The 5th one adds to it. And you don't have to do all of this at once. Step 1 takes about 20 minutes, so start from there. Then set up the rest one at a time over the next month or 2. By the end, you'll have a system that pays for your life today while it builds your freedom for later. What age did you start investing? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more investing basics explained in plain English, subscribe and follow.